Tonight on What the Heck Do I Know's PM Update, Positive Correlation segment, Mia looks at expat jobs. This is part one of a three-part series on being an expat: how to negotiate a salary, how to find expat jobs, and how to plan for moving. Tonight we're covering how to negotiate a salary since it applies to more than just expat jobs. Find out the details on this when we return, so stay tuned. Hey guys, I really enjoy making these videos for you, so if you get value from them, please hit like, subscribe, and leave me some comments. What the Heck Do I Know presents PM Update with Leah and Mia. And now your host, Leah. Welcome back to Positive Correlations. I'm Leah. Have you ever thought about going to work in another country? If you don't know anyone who has ever done it, the idea might sound a bit scary at first. But there's a lot more opportunity in the world if you don't limit yourself to a specific location. Those willing to travel can expand their horizons, they can gain experience, the ability to work with different people and cultures, and get to see more of the world, all while getting paid to do it. Now, there are some general things to consider, though, so Mia is going to share with us how one woman took a project management approach to her new job. Mia, what can you tell us about the setup for this story?
Sure, Leah.
Elizabeth Brooks is a civil design engineer who recently returned to the U.S. after working in the UAE for several years. She negotiated her own salary using a project management approach and wants to share how she did it. Elizabeth first got the idea about working overseas when a coworker from her past contacted her to see if she might be interested in an opening on his project. She was intrigued, but not sure at first. She had a condo, car, and friends where she was. It did look like an amazing opportunity, though, and at the time she was between projects. Elizabeth decided to consider it, so she applied for one of the open positions, and while she was waiting, did some research. Her friend gave her a possible range of salaries for the position, but she also went online to confirm what was normal for the region. She found that it was typical for expat workers in the UAE to receive, in addition to salary, a housing and living allowance. Since there is no income tax in the UAE, she would only be liable for U.S. taxes. Since her income is earned in a foreign country, if she is outside the U.S. for 330 full days, she qualifies for the foreign earned income exclusion. This means that she only has to pay U.S. tax on what she earns above the exclusion amount for that year. This amount is $107,600 for 2020. Elizabeth doesn't have any children, but she found that the company also pays for private school for children for some workers, and does pay for relocation costs and storage of household goods while she is away. Elizabeth decided that she could probably rent out her condo while she was away and make additional income from that without any additional expense. This idea was starting to look better and better. The company offered choices for health insurance companies, and in compliance with UAE labor law, she would receive an end-of-service gratuity payment when her job was complete. The one downside was how expensive it would be to live in the UAE compared to her current location in the US. But the housing and living expense should cover most, if not all of that. This company did not pay for travel expenses either to visit home or to travel to the office, but Elizabeth did not intend to return home in order to qualify for the tax exemption, and travel costs to and from work should be minimal. Eventually, Elizabeth was scheduled for a Skype interview with her prospective employers. The interview went well, but eventually they found a candidate they liked better for that particular opening. Her friend contacted her to let her know and recommended that she apply for a different position that they were having trouble filling. Since it was a job on the same program, she did not have to interview a second time, and this time she received an offer. Elizabeth had researched salary levels online and requested a higher than average salary, thinking that they would counter with what she wanted. As it turns out, the amount she requested was similar to what the two previous candidates had also requested. The company had not agreed to their request, and so they had turned the job down. Because of their previous history, Elizabeth's salary request was accepted, and she was on her way to the UAE. It took a few days for them to prepare and send the full compensation package, but everything else was in line with what her research showed her that she could expect, so there were no surprises or further things to discuss except hiring the movers, travel plans, and date for her arrival. Elizabeth enjoyed her time in the UAE and is looking to expand her horizons even further with the contacts she made and all of the things she learned. Next week, in part 2 of this series, Elizabeth and I will look at how to find expat jobs. Wow, Mia, that sounds really exciting. I'm sure our viewers will appreciate the next segment as well as this one. For more detailed information on negotiating a salary and package as an expat, U.S. IRS foreign income exclusion, or UAE salary laws, please see the article links in the description. That's all for What the Heck Do I Know's PM Update with Leah and Mia and our positive correlation segment for this week. Thank you for watching and see you next time on our next episode of PM Update. Good night. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I love seeing comments too.